गुड मॉर्निंग स्टूडेंट्स। लास्ट
Good
क्लास
morning,
देरी
ma'am.
से छुट्टी क्या? गुड मॉर्निंग।
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's start the class. Okay, my slide is visible. This is introduction.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's start. Start with the history. So, radio communication was invented by Marconi. In 1893, the concept was introduced. Then, in 1940, the first walkie-talkies were used by the US military. In the figures, you can observe, I put it like this, like first wireless telegraphy came into picture, then people go towards walkie-talkie, then cordless phone invented, and then cell phones. So in 1947, the milestone one, in 1947, John Bardeen and Walter Brattain from AT&T Bell's lab, Bell invented this gramophone and so on. So the Bell Labs invented the transistor-based systems that is used for amplification and the conditioning of this radio signal. And basically it consists of the semiconductor devices. Then in 1979, the first commercial cellular phone service was launched by the Nordic Mobile Telephone in Finland, and in this way, our cell phone or the mobile communication pictures come. So earlier, I didn't go with that history, the Graham Bell, then they connected to wire and so on. Just the brief history which is required here, I put it. You can go through, you can check it. So this wireless services, this can be divided into different types. But before that, we have to know something about this radio spectrum, the frequency which are used in these operations. Okay, the frequency spectrum. There is a spectrum which is assigned to different service providers, and they purchase it from the frequency spectrum task force. I think, have you heard this 2.2 GB scams, which were, I think, 5 to 10 years before? There are 2G scam, 3G scam. So this scam, what were that? Actually, the purchasing of frequency band or the radio spectrum for their operation, there could some scandal happen or some scams happen there. But what was that? 2G, 3G. This G is generation, and this is directly related to the operating frequency or the frequency band. Okay, so basically every service provider uses different frequency bands, radio spectrum, and this uses or this services can be classified in the different types of networks or different type of wireless services. So let's classify them. Let's see one by one. First is broadcasting services, including shortwave, AM and FM radio, as well as the terrestrial television. Then mobile communication of voice and data. See what we are doing. We are categorizing or we are classifying this radio spectrum in terms of what services are provided or what services we use. Like for broadcasting services, including AM, FM radio as well, there is one classification or particular spectrum is used. Then the mobile communication for voice and data transmission. So this is the another services which uses frequencies. So in mobile communication of voice and data, this includes maritime and aeronautical mobile for communication between ships, airplanes and land. So have you heard about this aeronautical mobile before? So the astronaut is also having one communication kind of mobile, or they have these devices, you can say, not the mobile, but these devices so that they can communicate. Similarly, in the ships, where the communications are generally very difficult, so there this mobile communication or these services can be utilized. The specific dedicated device is designed which used here. Generally in the satellite communication, these satellite phones and satellite things are provided to happen here for the maritime as well as for aeronautical phones. Then we have land mobile for communication. We know this because we use this nowadays. In So land mobile for communication between a fixed base station and moving sites such as taxi, fleet, and paging services. Everybody knows this mobile communication, right? This can be provided like base station is situated in one place, and all of these users are moving. They can be roaming towards the base station, away from the base station, isn't it? So the person, the mobile user can be in the taxi, or he can be running, or he will be moving or walking. So basically, if we talk about in terms of this mobile communication, we are having base station, and the particular person or the particular mobile user can be moved. Then mobile communication either between mobile users and the fixed network, or between mobile users such as mobile telephone services. Just like our previous mobile system, the analog telephony system, the both the telephones are situated at one place. Like before the mobile, as we have the telephone for communication, which is situated in person's home or places, and they communicate. So fixed services, either point to point or point to multi-point services. Point to point means one hub station is there, one base station is there and one user. That is point to one. This is one example I am telling. And point to multi-point services, just like one hub is there and different branches are associated to provide those services. Then we have a satellite used for broadcasting, telecommunication, and internet, particularly over long distances. The use of this satellite is what it can cover large geographical area, so as the terrestrial system cannot cover. Like that, you can imagine, if you want to transmit and if you want to have a communication in between the cities, you will be having two stations, three stations, and many base stations, just like towers. Different towers are available. Now you want to communicate in between the states, you are having base stations, but you want to communicate between the in between country, you are having several base station. Then the intra country, then the in different countries, then if you talk about the different continents, they are uh, placed very apart, distance is very high. So now if you want to provide communication directly, then we have to use this satellite. The satellite phones, satellite calling is there, because these satellites are orbiting around the earth and they provide large coverage area, the footprint we can say. So, and the other uses is including military, radio astronomy, meteorological, and scientific uses. So, these are the different services where mobile communication is used. And as I told you, this spectrum which are assigned to different services are allocated to them for their use. And that also differs by country to country, and frequency bands are also differs. Okay. Now we have a various wireless networks. Networks, I think network everybody knows. In network theory also, so node is there and several branches are connected to it. Similarly, in the mobile communication or the in wireless network, we can say that we will be having one hub and several branches are used to for end-to-end communication. Okay, this is our wireless network. Different nodes are there. Net is different branches are associated with each of these nodes that joins, and several net are formed. And so as the wireless communication become possible, and these networks are associated or assigned. So this wireless networks can be classified into three different types based on this range, based on their signaling, and based on their infrastructure. Okay. Let's see one. First one, the range. Wireless networks can be classified according to their range, and there are four classification. First is WPAN, then WLAN, then WMAN, then WWAN. W is for wireless personal area network. That is range. Here we are computing the distance. Okay, just like here in the WPAN case, the distance coverage will be 10 meter. Then for wireless local area network, WLANs, that is few hundreds of meter. It's similar to our LAN connection. This LAN connection are provided in our institute also. So we, excuse me. So just like in our institute, we are using this LAN communication, or we are using this WLAN. Just like we have one CC computer center, the we can say, and they provide our communication or this internet through this LAN wires. We have a LAN port, and we connect with our desktop or other computers. So these are WLAN. Okay, so that covers few hundreds of meters. Then we have a wireless metropolitan area network, that is range is assigned to up to few kilometers, like covering a whole city and so on, or a particular business hub, or a particular society that has been covered, you can say. According to range, the communication, the wireless networks are defined, that is covered here. So range wise, we have these classification. And last one is wireless wide area network. That is, the range is what, the distance is what, few tens of kilometer. So according to range, you can observe the 10 meter WPAN, then hundreds of meter LAN, then we have for few kilometers we have WMAN, and for few tons of kilometer that is WWAN. Then about signaling, another classification of this wireless network based on this signaling. Okay, so there's a two classification, one with the protocol and one is without protocol. Okay, let's see what are these. A cellular network is an example of a signaling protocol network. Cellular network means our mobile network, mobile cell network. So there are some certain protocols are there which are incorporated, and in this type of networks there is a fixed bandwidth for communication. They are using this circuit switched mechanism. Okay, see, these are very large words, each of having is their definition, and just for our basic knowledge I have put it here. Circuit switched and packet switched, these two are mechanism through which these datas are provided. Okay, the communication happens. So circuit switched and packet switched mechanism, these are used in communication, wireless network, and this sensor network communication. So which basically provide the switching between or choice of fixed bandwidth, frequency, different frequency slots are there, and switching is possible to use. Okay, you can refer it here, the simple little one here. So again, talking about signaling a network with these protocols. So our cellular network is example, and this uses the fixed bandwidth, use the circuit switch mechanism, where the connection is fully dedicated for exchanges between the source and the receiver, and provide fixed quality of service for packet transmission. Okay, generally the data which are transmitted are in form of frame. Have you heard this frame word? Like you have a sequence of data, right? We use digital communication, we assign or we convert this signal into digital 1 into 0 1 domain, 0 1 1 0. Okay, one signal is there. Let's suppose you have four different signals. Okay, listen to me carefully, it is just apart from this core word, core subject, we are just signaling your normal form. How these data are transmitted, the digital data are transmitted. So we know that these are transmitted in a digital domain, like 0110. This is transmitted in signal. isn't it? But actually, what happens? These signals are transmitted in terms of frames. One frame, two frame, three, four, five. The whole signal is cut it into different chunks or different frames, which are several word length with them. For example, you have one frame which is having 10 number of bits, means 0 1 1 0 0 up to 10 number of bits are there, binary digits are there. So word length will be 10, and one frame constitute of one 10 word length. Okay, one word length, 10 number of bits are there as is associating one frame. So in similar fashion, we have a second frame, third frame, and so on. And this signal is transmitted in form of frame. First frame is transmitted and first frame is received. Second frame is transmitted, second frame is received. So there are variety of techniques are available which simultaneously transmitted this signal or transmitted this signal one by one. This is the another topic. See, what I wanted to tell you, the transmission and reception of these signals are done in terms of these frames. The whole signal is divided into different chunks, which is called frames and associated with several word length. This word length can be 10 bit, 16 bit, 32 bit, 64 bit, and so on, depending on the use and depending on the requirement. Okay. So our signal is transmitted in terms of this frames. That's why this mechanism came into picture, the circuit switching or the packet transmission, packet switching. And packet is what? The bunch of these frames. One packet consists of different frames and so on. So we don't want to get it in that much of deep here for this frame and for this data and the packet transmission. What I wanted to tell you, according to this signal transmission and reception, we compute our SNR, signal to noise ratio. During this transmission reception, whether some uh, digits like 0 1 can be manipulated in place of 1 0 can be assigned due to this interferences or this channels effect, the air effect, or some uh, interferences effect. These bits can be manipulated, right? And if this bits changes, this binary digit 0 1 1 0, so your actual information can be lost or can be manipulated. There must be some errors, and what we want to do, we want to have accurate information, isn't it? So this SNR is computed, this error is computed, and different methodologies are assigned to mitigate this effect, to prevent this manipulation of data, and so on. And also some authentication and security, data security is also required so that nobody can intercept your information. The third party should not intercept with your information. They should not know, they should not manipulate your information. That is the malicious user data interpretation. So this all things happen with our data. So we need to have certain protocols to incorporate here so as to maintain our original signals with the adequate or with the desired qualities. And that's why one figure of merit, that is known as quality of service, which includes all of these figures, that should be maintained while transmission. Okay. And according to this all called signaling, that is with some signaling protocols are there to govern this all transmission. So these wireless networks are classified based on this first, which is having with this signaling protocols and which is without this signaling protocols. Let's talk about them. Local area networks such as Ethernet are called networks without signaling. Ethernet, have you seen? I think Ethernet is for internet connection. So generally they don't govern any kind of protocol over there. For example, the simplest example I can say is like your Bluetooth, your internet, the portable hotspot you can say. So they doesn't have any kind of protocol. any one of can become the main hub and can act as a transmitter. Any other devices can act as a receiver, and so on. Okay. Hope this is clear. This signaling with protocol and without protocol. Okay. Then we have infrastructure-based classification. Based on this infrastructure, we have a three classification: point-to-point networks, mesh networks, and ad hoc networks. Before going to explanation, just go on its name, point to point. That means there is a fixed single link that is associated with one transmitter and one receiver. Point to point networks. Okay, that is single link between the subscriber and the destination, user or the destination, transmitter and the receiver, point to point. Next is mesh network. Mesh network, you can imagine there would be some access points, several branches will be associated. Okay, and this node can be communicated, these branches can be communicated with each other. So that is mesh network, similar to our mesh network theory. Then we have mesh network nodes is there, 2 3 nodes are there, several branches with their permutation combination, different branches are associated and they can communicate with each other. Okay, and the next is ad hoc network. Ad hoc network, here each piece of equipment constitutes its own cell which communicate with the others. Or we can say the signal can travel through several nodes to reach the destination. But it's like we have several nodes, we have several branches. Okay, what is ad hoc network there? Here, this particular network or the whole devices or whole equipment consists of its own cell, one cell, dedicated cell. Okay, means let's suppose 5 nodes are there. Okay, we can assign one node as a hub and rest are other are communicating, and the particular hub node is governing all them. But it's not like fixed there. Means this node, this hub can be changed. Maybe in the next communication, in the next round, the third node will act as a hub. Okay, so concept of ad hoc network will be more clear when we study about it. Here you can refer that ad hoc networks that is having its own cell and which can communicate with other. Okay, with any kind of distributed approach, associated approach, and the signal can travel through different nodes to as to reach the destination. It can also having the shortest path to reach the destination. Okay. Then we have evolution of mobile communication. Here 1G, 2G, I think you have heard about this, 2.5G, 2.75G, 3G. Here G is generation. Okay, mobile communication evolution is done. First generation, second generation. Every generation is modification and certain advantage over the previous one. In 1G and 2G, circuit switch based mechanism were used, and from 2.5G onwards, packet switched mechanism is used. Okay, data are transmitted in terms of packet constitute of frames. If we talk about the mobility and coverage and the data rate, see this data rate is very important. You can observe the earlier phones which we were having in I think in 2000, simple for calling purposes, for messages purposes, isn't it? Then we have incorporated some edge and some internet there. We only operate our emails and gmails can be operated with the phone, and rest internet services was not there. Then our 3G came, where we can watch, we can transmit data, the internet, the voice, the video, the audio, with certain limitation of speed. And then This data rate with speed is covered in our next generation wireless communication like 4Gs, and people have already designed the 5G and they are planning for 6G. So basically what they done, they have motivated towards to increase the data rate so as the time with the mobility and coverage as well. That is a main motivation to invent these or to evaluate these generation of communication. And these are generally done with this license spectrum. Okay, as I told you, this spectrum, wireless spectrum frequencies are available. Different service provider purchases their spectrum band, and this spectrum is licensed. Whoever purchases that, that is called licensed user. Okay, like Airtel, like our Geo, they have purchased this spectrum for their use to provide the services to us. Spectral efficiency, that is a utilization of available bandwidth, available frequency, how they use. So basically, this evolution considers to have a better coverage, to have a better mobility with higher spectral efficiency and increase in data rate. Here you can observe in unlicensed spectrum, I have indicated Bluetooth here. Just like Bluetooth, if you have one mobile, you started the Bluetooth, you want to send a song to your friend. So your friend must be also starting the Bluetooth button in his or her mobile. And what happens? Suddenly, your mobile is acting as a transmitter. It transmits the song to the your friend, and your friend's mobile suddenly act as a receiver and it receives the song, isn't it? This process can be vice versa, but you are transmitting a signal with a certain frequency, but you haven't purchased any license for it, or you haven't purchased a particular operating frequency for that. That is a very slow frequency, so that covers into this unlicensed spectrum. And this is indicating the 4G and beyond heterogeneous network. See, lots of terminology are not you are not aware of it, like heterogeneous networks, homogeneous network. Okay. But don't worry, because we cannot cover the mobile communication whole year. We have to cover the wireless and mobile communication both. So basically, you should be knowing about this 1G, 2G, 2.5G up to 4G, and it would be good if you write up certain things, means you can analyze the differences of them. There is a one table I have assigned here. You can observe the 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G. What are the bandwidth, what standards they use, what technology are assigned. But I will give you assignment. In assignment, their first question will be like this only: evolution of this mobile communication. So you should write about 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G and their differences. Not just in the tabular form, in some paragraph defining all of the information, so that you must be knowing of it. Okay. So cellular network is basically a radio-based technology. The spectrum which I was talking about, which are purchased, which are licensed, you can observe there is a spectrum in this figure. There is a spectrum which is classified into very low frequency, that is VLF, LF, medium frequency, high frequency, very high frequency, ultra high frequency, super high frequency, and so on. Okay. And you can observe at the other side the frequency ranges of frequency are assigned 100 kilohertz, 1 megahertz, 10 megahertz. Okay, and according to different applications, some applications are there which is associated or the low frequency spectrum can be used. Okay, similarly, the high frequency spectrum band can be used. This is spectrums. This can be classified or this can be categorized into these different bands. If you can recall the low frequency, very low frequency, 3 to 30 hertz, then 30 to 300 hertz, then 3 kilohertz to 30 kilohertz. In similar fashion, these spectrums are categorized. So it has found that most of the signals are in this 850 megahertz, 900 megahertz, 1800 megahertz, and 1900 megahertz frequency band in cellular communication, particularly. In terms of generation, I have listed some little information of this 0, 1 to up to 4G. So 0G briefcase size mobile radio telephones were used in first generation analog cellular telephony was operated, and in 2G we have a digital cellular telephony. Cell phones came into picture. Then in 3G high speed digital cellular telephony including video telephony. Video calls made possible in 3G. Then we have a LTT in between 3G and 4G, and in 4G we have IP based anytime anywhere voice data and multimedia telephony system with high data rate than 3G. So these are certain technology or evolution which is 1 to 4G. Okay. So this is the basic knowledge or basic information requirement for our course, so that if we study about this wireless communication, so these things can be easily connect. Okay, so this is just a basic. This information should be known by you. Prerequisite information you can say. So my assignment's first question is that what is evolution of mobile communication? Describe evolution of mobile communication, where you should write all the write up regarding to 0G to 4G. Okay, you can refer this slide which I will upload, but you have to make one write up regarding this. Okay. I think we should stop today here, because from the next week you will be not having any classes. You have to prepare for your last semester, and after that in the offline classes we will start it further. Hope it will be good for us, because number of students are also less, only 52 have joined. But my assignment question, okay, we'll go with this assignment later. I will announce this assignment in our offline class. Okay, just don't bother of this assignment right now. Concentrate on your previous semester's exam, then we'll discuss in our classes. Any questions? Okay, I will share this slide. Okay, and after exam you just go through this, and if you still having any query, this is the general basic knowledge of wireless network that should be known to us. Okay, that's why I have taken this first class regarding these simple networks. What are these? The simple terminology. If we go in further detail, na, so that is the another subject. So we don't want to that. We want to concentrate on our syllabus only. So this was the general information that should be knowing. I will upload this, but you go through it once your exams is over and before our offline class. And if you having any question, we can discuss it there.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Priyanshu.
Ma'am, you mentioned ad hoc network. So, is screen mirroring ad hoc, like projecting mobile on PC or mobile on television?
No, that is not ad hoc. In ad hoc, that is the mirroring service is what you are just transmitting what is there, and that is not acting the transmitter. It's not transmission of your data signal like data or any other signal with certain frequency. Mirroring is what just projection. So projection is not
Okay,
the,
ma'am.
yes, just like in our projector we project our data, that is similar to our mirroring. Bluetooth is the good example of our uh, ad hoc networks. Any other? Okay, then we will resume our offline class, and all the best for your exams.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
Okay.
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, then I am
Thank you,
ending
ma'am.
it. Okay. All the best.